In the summer of 1227, the most powerful man alive died somewhere in northern China. 800 years later, nobody on earth can tell you where he is buried. The only Mongol source written close to the event disposes of his death in 8 words. In the year of the pig, he rose to heaven. That lists no cause, no funeral, no grave. He was born Temujin on the Onon River around 1162, though the year is genuinely disputed. 1155 and 1167 have also been defended, and the historian Paul Rachinevsky suspected that Temujin himself did not know it. His father was poisoned by Tatars when the boy was about 9. The clan abandoned the family. They lived on roots and fish. In 1206, at a great assembly at the source of the Onon, the tribes of the steppe named him Chinggis Khan. Even the meaning of the title is uncertain. It may mean firm or righteous, or from a Turkic root, oceanic, universal. That same day his bodyguard was expanded from 1,150 men to 10,000. By the time he died, the empire covered roughly 13.5 million square kilometers. At its height, it reached about 24 million, nearly a fifth of the land surface of the earth, and close to 5 times the Roman Empire at its peak. All of those are estimates, because nobody was drawing exact borders on the steppe. In the winter before hunting wild horses at Arbuqa, his horse shied and threw him. The secret history even names the horse Jasatubaro. By the next morning, his wife Yesui was telling the assembled princes that the Khan had passed the night hot with fever. He refused to break off the campaign against the Western Xia. He died on the 18th, or by some accounts, the 25th of August, 1227. Everyone else tells it differently. A Persian chronicler and the Chinese history of Yuan say illness. Marco Polo, writing 70 years later, and never in Mongolia, says an arrow wound. A papal envoy says lightning. A late Mongol legend blames a captive Tanga princess. In 2021, a team of medical historians argued for bubonic plague. Only one of those accounts was written by Mongols near the time, and it says he fell off a horse. His death was kept secret. The Xia capital surrendered the following month, still not knowing, and was destroyed so completely that one historian called it a very successful ethnocide. Then the body went home, roughly 1,500 kilometers north, into the mountains he had come from. Decades earlier, hiding on a mountain called Burkhan Khaldun while his enemies hunted him through the forest, he had made a promise. "My life was like that of a louse," he said. "Every morning I shall sacrifice to Burkhan Khaldun, and every day I will pray to it." The mountain appears 27 times in the secret history. A later Persian chronicler records him saying of it, "Our burial site and that of our offspring will be here." And then the stories began. Marco Polo wrote that a Khan's funeral escort killed everyone it met on the road, 20,000 people, telling them to go and wait upon your lord in the other world. But read him carefully. That passage is about the funeral of Genghis Khan in 1259. It is not about this one. The rest is the same. A river diverted over the grave, 1,000 horses driven across the ground until it was flat, trees planted on top, a camel calf killed at the spot so its mother would weep there and mark it. None of it appears in a contemporary source. The river story is the burial legend of Gilgamesh and of Alaric the Visigoth, borrowed and carried east. The camel appears in a Chinese account written about 150 years after the fact. There is a simpler reason to doubt the massacre. If every witness was killed, who guarded the grave? Because a guard existed. A hereditary clan, the Darkhead, was assigned to it, exempt from tax and from military service. The zone they watched was called the Ik-Korg, the Great Taboo. 240 square kilometers of forest and mountain in the Khentai range. Trespass was punishable by death. The only lawful reason to enter was to bury a relative of the Khan. They held that line for nearly 700 years. When the Mongolian People's Republic was founded in 1924, the hereditary guard ended and the Soviets took over. They sealed 10,400 square kilometers and called it a highly restricted area, afraid the mountain would feed Mongolian nationalism. The region did not reopen to archaeologists until the late 1980s. A joint Mongolian and Japanese expedition went in around 1990 with ultrasound equipment and mapped 1,380 possible graves of Mongolian nobles. Public protest shut it down. An American team led by a retired Chicago commodity trader found a walled enclosure near the Onon called the Almsgiver's Wall, 3 kilometers around, with 60 depressions inside that looked like graves. They lifted the flagstones. Underneath were curving channels, not burials, the field director concluded, but ritual sites for sacrifice. Then a former prime minister visited, saw vehicles on sacred ground and human remains stored in a pan, and wrote a letter. It was published. The dig ended. The most serious attempt used no shovels at all. A National Geographic project cut 6,000 square kilometers of half-meter satellite imagery into 84,183 tiles and put them on the internet. Over 10,000 volunteers spent 30,000 hours, about 3.5 person years, staring at empty grassland. They made 2.3 million tags. The field team checked 100 of the highest-ranked spots and confirmed 55 genuine archaeological sites. Bronze Age burial mounds, deer stone megaliths, old fortifications. None of them was the tomb. On the mountain top they did find something, a mound and a large permanent shrine, built by a people who did not build permanent things. Roof tiles, charred wood, horse teeth, dating to roughly the right century. Nobody has excavated it. In 2015, UNESCO inscribed the mountain as a World Heritage Site, and it has been effectively closed to researchers ever since. There is also a real chance there is nothing there to find. Steppe kings before him were buried in log chambers more than 20 meters underground, marked on the surface by nothing but a square of stones. Pull up the stones and the tomb becomes invisible in a country 7 times the size of Britain with 2% of its roads. Some Mongols practiced sky burial, which leaves no grave at all, and a treasure vault everyone imagines may be a foreign invention. One archaeologist expects a wooden coffin and a quiver of arrows. Another thinks he was wrapped in felt and put in the ground like any of his soldiers. The archaeologist who ran the satellite search says the barrier is no longer technological. It is a decision for the Mongolian people, whether they want to know what is under that mound. Most of them do not. It is not a curse, and it is not superstition. It is a man who spent his last weeks making certain he would not be found, and a country that has decided to let him have that. If they had wanted us to find it, one Mongolian put it, they would have left a sign.